What's going on, everybody? This is Mike Muncatchy, and you have just visited the home of Metachomp. We're joined today by the lovely Alexander Muncatchy. How are you doing, Alex?
Doing well.
That's really good to hear. So how's life going for you? That's great. So today we're going to be talking about a whole bunch of different things. And Alex, what have we got on the slate today?
Well, the Mortal Engines trailer just released.
I'm sorry to hear about that.
And Peter Jackson and his wife, Michael, they both were doing incredible things with the trailer, and it's exciting to see what exactly is going on with their movie. It's Peter Jackson in a steampunk science fiction young adult world. What is there not to like except for everything?
That's a very well said point.
Yes.
Enshrouded in intrigue. I love the way, Peter and Michael Jackson.
Yes.
I'm very curious to see what they do with the movie. I am less than whelmed. You could even call me underwhelmed.
Ooh.
I have 0% interest in this movie. I don't know about you, but I just don't feel very excited.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's
Peter,
well, I don't
Peter Jackson.
Yes.
Okay.
Peter
Peterson Jackson.
He's the 6th most famous Jackson.
That's true. Or the 10th. But who's counting?
Who is counting?
So
Janet's counting.
Exactly. And Justin Timberlake. But I was going to say Justin Jackson. Peter Jackson. He took a revered, beloved high fantasy. We're getting there, folks. High fantasy.
High fiction should be a thing.
Yeah. High fantasy trilogy of books, dense books with a very elaborate fiction.
Yes, thick pages.
From Tolkien, I believe that's how you pronounce his name. And he made it his own. And it's all because he wanted that cash money for King Kong.
Yeah.
And we fell in love with it. So we love when Peter Jackson creates these massive universes, but Mortal Engines is coming across as incredibly disconnected. Now, one may argue, or could argue, that his trilogy, the Hobbit trilogy, that was more of him becoming more and more disconnected from what made him famous to begin with.
I don't know. I think it was very well directed. I think the problem with the Hobbit series is that it was poorly edited.
The Hobbit series also had the J.J. Abrams was lambasted for his use of lens flare, and in his Star Trek movies, Peter Jackson went crazy with the bloom and the glow, and everything was glowing, and everything.
Well, you're talking about the Orlando bloom.
We all bloomed for bloom. I get it.
So you're talking about the bloom as being the lighting that happens when somebody is standing, say, in front of a green screen.
And if people listening at home, all you have to do, if you wanted to replicate this effect, you grab a camera and you smear Vaseline all over the lens. You can, and you just walk out in the natural sunshine. It will basically fill in those cracks for you.
That used to be such a big thing, though, was bloom. Bloom was seen
Vaseline
as
or bloom?
Vaseline is still kind of a big old deal.
It's a big deal.
It's a biggie D, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, I know.
However, I do think that there is something to be said about the way Peter Jackson's films look, because, love him or hate him, I enjoyed the Hobbit series. I haven't seen the Battle of the Five Armies.
That's how much you love the series.
That's how much I love the series. That's right. However, I'll have to watch it because I liked the first two films. I thought they were quite engaging. I thought Smaug was a very interesting character. And I wanted to see more. It did feel like a departure because one thing that Peter Jackson kind of did with those movies is, because they're based off of material that's more aimed for children, it was a little bit more cartoony, less grounded. And it's sort of what happens, too, when a director gets a giant budget for something.
Exactly.
And he replaces practical things with computer animated things. And the problem I see with Mortal Engines is that I don't believe the world for an instant, because you have these Washington, D.C. is on a giant truck thing. And just the way it goes over bumps and jumps, you just know that everyone in the world during the first bump would have just exploded or flown off of the city vehicle and died.
It makes you kind of wonder if this might have been a better like animated, like an animated thing, or like, if there was a way to make this so it wasn't so like, because at this point when you have so much CG and you just have these real actors in these incredibly like fantastical CGI environments, we're in Sky Captain territory right now, and I think we got to figure out how do you make that blend, that transition. How do you provide it to be seamless and believable?
Yeah.
Because Lord of the Rings was shot in New Zealand. Like, it was shot like they didn't. Most of the sets and locations were just real sets and locations. Yeah, and it felt real.
And the orcs were just hanging out there.
The Hobbit, I think, was shot. Some of it was shot in New Zealand, but a lot of it wasn't. A lot of it was a ton of green screen, and that's what's frustrating. Is that like the tactile feel of Orlando Bloom's baby soft hands rubbing against a boulder, leaning against a boulder as he's watching the orcs pass on by. We could feel like, okay, this is stone.
What are you doing with your hands?
So but it's like, that's the thing. It's like there has to be a connection.
Yes.
And it was strange to me. You and I were talking about this a little while ago, just how important it is for not just having spectacle for the sake of spectacle, but actually, especially in a trailer, you have to make me believe. Like, James Cameron did, Welcome to Pandora. Like, just visit Pandora. Like, it was like a travel brochure.
My favorite music album.
It was like it was a travel brochure. Like, it was like, you will believe that this is a real thing. And then, like they had like the 3D glasses and everything. So it was like you are taking the trip, like, into a totally alien planet.
Right.
And, same thing with Titanic. Like, we will, meticulously, obsessively reconstruct the Titanic. You will believe that you were on this ship. Mm-hmm. And so, like, if you were going to go to the ends of the earth to really create this incredibly new world, and Peter Jackson knows this better than anyone else. I mean, not better than everyone else, but as well as like a Ridley Scott or James Cameron. Like, he knows how to make worlds, but this is so disconnected. The CGI is so out of place. It doesn't seem to be as seamless as it should be. And it just doesn't look. I'm not buying for 1 second that they are where they say they are.
That's but isn't that the problem too? When movies get more visually ambitious, that you risk losing the performance. You lose the performance of the actors because it's such a challenge. If you're an actor and you're on a big budget movie and you're standing in front of a green screen and you're told emote, feel scared, like there's an enemy right before you, like be afraid. Right. Because the practical effects lend to the credibility of the scene, and it's not just visual, but it's just for the storytelling aspect of it that you, I think that there's something missing movies that lean heavily on green screen. Also because the lighting always like, to me, it's always instantly obvious that something is green screen.
Motion blur is insane as well. Like, someone has to send Hollywood a memo, and because we live in in Hollywood, we should just walk down the street and put some posters up as well. But it's like,
I just need to pick up some Scotch tape on the way there.
There you go. And I mean, we get it. It's 24 frames a second, but when you see someone running around on screen, especially when it's CG, stop masking it in fog, in dirt, in dust. Stop just trying to dirty up the image. Ridley Scott once said that,
that's your boy Ridley.
What Ridley Scott once said, as far as when he was working on Alien, and a lot of his way he builds, he builds his worlds. He often says he wants to marry the image. He wants the image to be truly married, to be seamless.
Oh, well, he's also he's famous for doing his own storyboards.
Yes, his Ridleyums or whatever they call it. They call them something like his doodles.
They're beautiful.
They are. Like The Martian, he had a very specific design in mind when it comes down to the mountains and the landscapes and everything, which is really cool. But like, even like the thing with and James Cameron and Ridley Scott, like, they both worked on Alien. Like, I think it's amazing. Did you think about that? Like, two of the best people who are known for making immaculate universes were both working on the same franchise. I think it's amazing. And then Fincher's like, all right, I'm up next.
Well, the studio came in. He wanted to do a movie about monks on a wooden planet for Alien 3.
And that sounds equally fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, I could kind of see where they're going, because the prison that they end up being on is like, all right, these men kind of control the prison themselves. They don't have sex. You can see that a lot of the
that
script
bothered
was
you the
still
most,
carried.
though.
Yeah, because I thought that was supposed to be why you go to prison is to be able to like hook up with a lot of dudes.
I mean, it basically is. It's the most informal grinder account that everyone shares. It totally makes sense.
That's right. Really easy to find each other. You just go out into the yard, and that's where you play ball.
That's where you play balls. But I think now, speaking of Alien 3, though, I mean, the prison was like, it was basically like a.
I thought you were gonna make a chest burster joke.
Speaking of Alien 3, as far as the way you're talking about with the prison, it was kind of like a Chronicles of Riddick thing, wasn't it? It was kind of like, and it was a grimy, and there was an alien, and then Ripley was basically Riddick, shaven. I don't think she had a wife beater though, did she?
She kind of did.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, she had like a white. Yeah, I think she did kind of have a wife beater on.
That's funny.
I don't know that Vin Diesel had a wife beater on though for Riddick, for Chronicles of Riddick. I have not seen Riddick yet, the third movie.
He had like
Sackhoff.
He had the muscle shirt, like the normal, like the ripped.
Mm-hmm. The eye shine.
I live my life a quarter mile at a time. Actually,
no, Vin Diesel, that's the wrong movie. I am not a gun. No, wrong movie, Vin. Vin, come on. I am Groot. No, man. You gotta talk about the eye shine, man.
So I'm Superman.
However,
that was Iron Giant. Thank you. You ruined that.
Oh, we'll add in the applause later. It's lovely.
All I heard is just an exhale. You're like, well, there it goes. I couldn't do the Superman because I'm Superman. I don't know, how did you do Iron Giant? That's hard voice. That's a hard voice to do.
I'm Superman.
Superman.
It sounds insensitive somehow.
Yeah.
So basically, though, we're talking about Mortal Engines. For anybody who's just tuning in, we're talking about Mortal Engines and comparing the trailer of it, which of course is just an indication of what the movie's going to be like. It's based off a young adult, book
and it looks like it. They have the 1,000-yard signature Peter Jackson stare that they do, where the girl's looking and she's like a little mysterious, a little grimy, a little dirty.
Yeah,
but she looks like a fighter.
I'm curious about it because that's the kind of pedigree you don't really see with a lot of directors. Okay. Kind of like I'm curious about Battle Angel, but I'm not super excited.
Now, I should also clarify, Peter Jackson is not directing this movie. I probably should specify. Peter Jackson is not directing it. It is actually the director of, it's the cinematographer of the Lord of the Rings movies that is actually making his directorial debut. Peter Jackson and his wife, Fran Walsh, are writing the screenplay.
Oh, so we're really fucked then.
I mean, it's tricky. I mean, because Fran Walsh is, I believe that's her name. Usually, if you can nail the first and last name, there's probably a good chance that is the correct name. But
there likely is a Fran Walsh somewhere. Like, it sounds like a name of a person who exists.
There's Fran from Final Fantasy, who has like the bunny ears.
But then there's also Fran Drescher, who's got that laugh. Fran.
But yeah, so I mean, it's kind of like a what's the guy, Wally Pfister. That's like, when he went off and did Transcendence. With Johnny Depp. Mm-hmm. That was his directorial debut for a movie, for actually behind the camera. And then, Aaron Sorkin, obviously being... It seems like screenwriters they're kind of getting behind the camera. They're like, wait, I may as well just film.
Right, because Sorkin did Molly's Game.
Phenomenal movie.
He did a great job. She did a really great job. Definitely one of my favorite performances of that year.
It was great.
It was really wonderful.
But yeah, I think I think it's interesting because Aaron Sorkin's one of the few screenwriters that could definitely direct. I feel like his screenplays come off like almost as finished pieces because they could be stage plays. Mm-hmm. And so it's like set a camera on a tripod, buy some mini DV tapes from Best Buy and call it a day. You know, and I mean, like I feel like you could have the same impact, which is a really special talent for him. I'm not trying to disparage him, but I think it's true. It worked out well, and he did a great job with the directing and just the pacing and the flow was very good. It was a little long.
But that's that's Aaron Sorkin. Also, everyone in an Aaron Sorkin movie, they talk like the smartest people in the universe. Everyone is so quick. And actually, every time I watch one of those movies, I walk away from it thinking, I'm an idiot. Because somebody's clapping. Someone's
clapping.
Like, hooray. He finally realizes it. But there's something to be said about creating realistic characters.
Funny enough, I love the Aaron Sorkin knockoffs, though. The ones that like try to have like rapid fire dialogue when people are like, drinking coffee in the morning or running or like having, everyone's doing something.
It's the walk and talk thing. That's his trademark.
It is. I think it's, and I'm not quite sure how that relates to Mortal Engines.
It doesn't really. There's not very much green screen in Molly's game.
Let's think about this though. We got Hugo Weaving, Peter Jackson.
No. His name is Eyebrows. Okay.
We have Hugo Weaving.
Eyebrows.
We have.
We have eyebrows.
We have Peter Jackson, Fran Walsh. We have another screenwriter, a third screenwriter that worked on the original trilogy as well. It's like this should be a recipe for success. This should be a slam dunk, but it just, I don't know. I have an issue with how he approaches his later movies. I feel like it's changing. He's becoming more and more like the Wachowskis, where like with Speed Racer. Speed Racer was like a super, like it was like literally just humans and everything else was CG, and it was really, really jarring. And it worked well because it was based on an anime. Was it an anime or manga?
It was an anime and a manga.
Okay.
Or manga. Yeah. But there is something to be said too, because
this is a bit of a something to be said.
But there is something. Yes. Let's just be completely honest. So in anime, which I'm a big fan of, there is an anime style for every genre of movie that there is. I'm not afraid to make things animated, but still very serious.
I'm not afraid. I'm sorry.
You'd better be. But when it comes to live action, I think largely people are afraid to make a serious movie that is animated in America. High budget, but like in Speed Racer, all they had to do is just replace those lead actors, the real actors, with computer animated actors. Yeah. I feel like we might as well just flip that switch. Get rid of the green screen and have these characters live entirely in animated worlds. I'm not exactly talking about like what was it? Like Tintin, but
Spirits Within.
Well, kind of in a way.
I think that's what studios are afraid of, because that was a disaster.
It was a disaster. It was also Square Pictures' first and last movie. So they hadn't done a movie before, but that was SquareSoft getting into the motion picture.
Who did Evan Children?
That was also Square.
Pictures?
But I think it was a Square. It was a Square.
That was a better movie.
Yeah, it was a better movie, but
I mean, we're not reaching top shelf anywhere anytime soon with video game movies.
It's true, but I think what James Cameron was able to fool everyone about was that Jimmy. I call him Slim Jim, and like whenever I walk up to him, I'm like, "Yo, snap into a Slim Jim."
Oh, he loves it.
He hates it. He's not talking to me.
I'm so sorry.
He was able to convince basically everyone in the world, because it's the highest grossing movie of all time, to watch an animated serious movie, because for only little moments of that movie you actually have humans on screen, but for a vast majority of it, absolutely everything is computer animated.
Zoe Saldana is not blue?
She's not blue.
And she's not green?
And she's not green. Because she's been in the game for a long enough time. She's not a green anymore. But it's a conversation perhaps for another day.
The problem is that I feel like with Avatar, I feel like what happened was that they filmed the movie, and they turn off the green screen, they turn off all the CG, and they unfortunately left Sam Worthington in the green screen space in 3D.
He's been trapped.
He's been trapped in Pandora.
Okay, finally. Al, I'm so glad that you're bringing it up. Yeah. All right, folks, we need to get word out that Sam Worthington is still trapped. He's trapped, right?
Trapped. I think so.
Okay, so he's still trapped in this 3D environment.
It's a new contractual obligation now. If you have to do 5 Avatar movies, they actually just leave you on the planet.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So where's his body?
I don't know.
Did he really leave his Spoilers. Did he really leave his physical body and he's now a Na'vi?
I'm not sure. I think there is a doppelganger for Hacksaw Ridge,
Okay.
but I'm not quite sure. He might have been able to leave just to get some air to make it look like, okay, I'm back, I'm cool, everything is fine. But I think he had to go right back afterwards.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
All right, folks.
Yeah.
At the bottom of your screen, there's a number. Call that number. Leave no Worthington behind. Sam Worthington
He's Sam Worthing the world to me.
he's worth saving.
Yes.
Sam Worthington, hashtag worth saving. Anyway, so aside from Mortal Engines, a movie that's not out yet.
But let's talk about Avatar for a quick second, because
Sure.
2009 was when that came out, correct? Or 2008, 8 or 9?
09.
09. And I get that James Cameron was super meticulous about like, hey, if your hand touches a plant, the plant will like, it'll refract light, and it'll almost, you can almost see it. You can really feel like they're in the environment. What happened to that? Why are we trying to like just kind of cut, certain? I mean, take certain shortcuts with these games, with these movies, because I am so far detached from what's coming out lately that it's upsetting to me, because I know that technology is getting better, but it's like there's always those movies that try to act like they're 10 years ahead of their time. And
I'd say Avatar was.
Avatar did a great job because James Cameron is also like Spielberg with Jurassic Park, knew the limitations of the medium, so they didn't want to just put it out there in the open and just say it's good enough. Like, Spielberg wanted to use bits and pieces to show certain parts of the T-Rex because he knew that showing off like a fully animated or animatronic T-Rex wouldn't be the greatest.
Right, or Clay
Aiken.
Stop motion.
Yeah, Clay Aiken.
We do not mention Clay Aiken.
Okay.
He's trapped in the 3D space.
That's so sad.
And we want to keep him there. Keep Clay Aiken away.
Okay.
Call that number. If you spot a Clay Aiken, report him immediately.
It's pretty crazy what's going on, because it's like now you and I just watched the TGS trailer or like the gameplay demonstration for Death Stranding.
Yeah.
And yet again, here we go. This is what's happening now, guys, where like a fully CG environment is even more believable than what's going on with actual live actors.
I couldn't agree more.
And Star Citizen is another great example too.
Oh yeah, and that's the most ambitious thing I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But in regards to Avatar
Yeah.
and with James Cameron, he's the kind of auteur who just has the power to take forever to make a movie. Like the next Avatar isn't slated to come out until next year, and that's a major if. And he's able to push back the date because each movie has made so much money. He can just do research and development.
Do you think the gamble is worth it? Do you think it's going to happen?
I honestly think I think it's worth it.
Because an entire fad, like let's say 3D was a fad, he was there at the beginning, and he somehow waited so long
But he didn't wait. He basically helped to create
he's
the
still
fad.
like, in recent interviews he's still like no 3D's a thing still, like it's still a thing. And has put an Oculus on this man's head.
I believe he's working on technologies that are more advanced than what we've seen so far. Smell.
Okay.
You might not think you want to smell what Na'vi smells like.
What does it smell like? It smells like Zoe Saldana.
Yes.
Okay.
Pure magic.
That's amazing.
That's right.
So like, I think it's
take a deep whiff.
It's fascinating to see what's going on with these things, because like I said, Mortal Engines is a thing. The trailer came out. There's obviously the live action remake of Aladdin.
Yeah.
And so like
that's a great teaser for I still don't know anything about the movie, but music is good.
And it looks pretty good. I think it's going to be, it's Guy Ritchie, right? So we'll see where on the spectrum. Is it Snatch? Is it Sherlock Holmes?
I'm a big fan. I don't think I've ever disliked a Guy Ritchie movie.
You always will know that they're going to be fun. I think they're mostly just very fun movies. Snatch, Lock, Stock, Sherlock, even like his rock and rolla movies, and I think we did Layer Cake as well.
He did, yeah.
A lot of good stuff,
Yeah. Well,
and
and also I feel like Guy Ritchie is sort of from the Edgar Wright, frame of thinking in terms of how he makes movies.
shot with a shotgun, the shotgun style, like cinematography,
Yeah.
like the rapid fire shots,
Super
and stuff,
cutty, yeah.
and very humorous. Like even the cuts themselves are what makes the humor kind of thing.
Yeah, Desert Eagle, just
Right.
Yeah, and really stylish movies.
Like, I mean, for example, when he's like, "Okay, I'm going to London," and there's
Yeah.
there's that shot. Like if you were asked if that was Edgar Wright or Guy Ritchie, I don't honestly think you could know.
Yeah, they're very very similar. And I'd say if Guy Ritchie's making a Disney movie, that means
It'd be really fun.
also, who knows what that means for the future of Guy Ritchie working with Disney, maybe Star Wars, maybe Marvel, working on bigger projects.
Well, he'll have to change his name to Guy Rich because he'd be very wealthy.
He's gonna be very wealthy. Wasn't he married to Madonna?
He was. We don't talk about it.
No, we don't talk about that.
Yeah, and technology is going to get better and better with games.
But
so
let's be honest though. So when he married her, she was actually Happy Donna, but then she changed her name to Mad Donna.
she went a little nuts, a little crazy.
She did.
I love just a little aside here. I guess supposedly when they shared an online or on-screen, on-stage kiss with Drake, she said that she just tasted like cigarettes and something else. So she was like, it was the most disgusting thing I've ever had in my life.
But you know why she tasted like cigarettes? Because she's smoking. Folks, unfortunately, that draws us to a close for this episode of Metachomp. It has been an absolute joy talking with you, Alex.
Oh, it's been a pleasure of mine.
Now, where can we find us on the internet?
Well, if you go to Instagram.metachomp.com, or I think there's God damn it. What is it? At Instagram.com/Metachomp.
Right, but most people will use Instagram on their phone, so you can just look us up, Metachomp on
Yeah.
Instagram.
It's a HTTP
God.
colon /
AOL keyword. Yo,
Now,
load up CompuServe.
If you want to go by text tone or tone.
Text tone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Or T9.
That's a great rapper. And also, you can find us on Twitter
Yes.
at Metachomp, and we're on Facebook now too, which is just
Yeah. So if you
Metachomp as
go on, save Guy Ritchie or Sam Worthington,
also save Guy Ritchie.
save him.
I want Aladdin to do well. The music was so tremendous in that.
It was great.
It was really
very
good.
Force Awakens-esque with it's a reduction, very almost like to the most basic melody, and they turn like a musical into like an opera almost. Like it just sort of like it's great. I love it.
It looks really beautiful.
I think it's going to be exciting, and it's a perfect teaser. Didn't show too much.
Yeah, it's like what an old professor told me once about music.
Never
It's like a girl in a short skirt. It's got to be
A girl in Schwarzenegger or a girl in a short shirt.
It has to be like a girl in a short skirt. It's got to be short enough to be interesting, but long enough to cover the topic.
See, I like that.
Thanks so much for listening, you guys. This is Metachomp, and we're out.